Today, we're jumping into a story that's honestly one of the most wild real-life experiments of the 20th century. It's a story that basically challenges everything we think we know about talent, about genius, and what humans are capable of. And it's all about three sisters who completely turned the world of chess upside down.
The whole thing really boils down to this one huge question. Are geniuses just born that way with some kind of magic spark? Or is it possible to actually make a genius from scratch? One man was absolutely determined to prove it was the latter. All right, so let's start with the guy who cooked this whole thing up and his truly radical theory.
So let me introduce you to Lazslo Polgar. Back in the 60s, this Hungarian educational psychologist had this pretty out there belief. He was convinced that greatness isn't something you're born with. No, he argued that genius was all about education and super focused, intensive practice. He believed that any healthy kid could achieve greatness.
I mean, you can just feel the passion in his words, right? Laszlo looked around and saw all this wasted potential. He thought society was just failing its kids by telling them that being a genius was for a special, chosen few. But, and this is a big but, his ideas weren't just unpopular. People thought he was completely bonkers. When he started talking about his theory, a government official literally told him he should go see a psychiatrist to get his delusions checked out. That's the kind of pushback he was getting. But Laszlo, he wasn't going to give up that easily. He realized, hey, the only way to prove this is to actually do it with my own kids. So he starts looking for a wife to join him on this crazy mission. Through letters, he meets a woman named Klara. And at first, yeah, she thought he was nuts too. But then they met, and she was so blown away by his vision that she agreed to join this audacious life experiment.
Okay, so they had the theory, they had the team. Now it was time for the experiment itself.
Now this is a really important detail. Why chess? Of all things, why chess? Well, Laszlo was smart about this. He knew he needed a field where success was black and white, totally undeniable. You know, if his kid became an amazing painter, people could just say, I don't like her style. But chess? Chess has a cold, hard, objective rating system. Your skill is a number. There's just no room for debate.
And just like that, with their very first daughter, Susan, the experiment was on. Now get this. Laszlo himself, he was just an okay hobby player, nothing special. So he dove into books, studying the best ways to teach. The training was intense for sure, but he also made it fun. He turned the chess pieces into characters in a drama, the board into a battlefield. And you know what? It totally worked. Susan wasn't forced to play. She fell in love with it. She was completely hooked. So picture this. Susan's just turned 5. Laszlo enters her into a local tournament against girls literally twice her age. And the result? It was insane. She didn't just win. She crushed it. A perfect score. 10 wins, 0 losses. Right away, people started calling her a natural, a prodigy. But this was just the beginning. Because Laszlo and Klara didn't stop with one child. They had 2 more daughters, Sofia and Judit. And the experiment? It went into overdrive. The results were just mind-blowing. Let's start with Susan, the oldest. She becomes a world champion at just 12 years old. Then, in 1991, she makes history as the first woman ever to earn the title of Grandmaster, the highest you can get in chess through the standard tournament process. She was an absolute trailblazer. And then you've got the middle sister, Sofia. She became a world champion too, of course. But her legendary moment came when she was 14, in a tournament that's now famously called the Sack of Rome. She destroyed a lineup of powerful grandmasters, winning 8 straight games. To this day, that performance is considered one of the greatest in chess history.
And finally, Judit, the youngest. Judit didn't just break records, she shattered them. At 15, she became the youngest grandmaster in history, male or female, beating Bobby Fischer's famous record. She was the #1 woman in the world for over a decade and is without a doubt considered the greatest female chess player of all time.
I mean, just look at this. It's unbelievable. 1 family, 3 sisters, and each one a legend in her own right, reaching the absolute top of a brutally competitive global sport. This looked like the ultimate proof of Laszlo's theory. But the public, well, they saw something else entirely. They didn't see an experiment, they saw 3 prodigies. So let's peel back that label and see what was really going on. This is a perfect example of what's called the iceberg illusion. We see the stunning success, the tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water. But what we don't see is the colossal mountain of effort hidden underneath. So what was really going on? The public saw this magical, innate talent. The reality? Over 10,000 hours of focused practice for each sister before they were even teenagers. The public saw child prodigies. The reality was a slow, sometimes painful, inch-by-inch grind. They assumed there must have been some chess gene in the family. But nope, neither Laszlo nor Klara had any special chess ability to pass down. And Laszlo himself put it perfectly. He said, if people had actually seen the slow, grinding, day-by-day progress, they never would have used the word prodigy. They would have seen the work, not some kind of magic. But there's one last twist to this story, and it might just be the most powerful piece of evidence in the whole experiment. See, here's the thing. The sisters were all incredible, but their achievements weren't identical. And the differences between them, well, that's where things get really interesting. It seems their results are tied directly to how hard each of them worked. If you look at the pattern, it's crystal clear. Sofia, who even said herself that she was the lazy one, she still became the 6th best female player in the entire world, which is amazing. But Judit, the one everyone agrees was the most dedicated, the one who worked the absolute hardest, she's the one who became the greatest of all time. The more effort, the higher the achievement. It's right there. And really, who better to sum it all up than Susan Polgar herself? She put it as plainly as you can. My father believes that innate talent is nothing, that success is 99% hard work. I agree with him. The story of the Polgar sisters isn't just about chess. It's a huge testament to the power of focused effort. It really makes you rethink the whole idea of talent and the limits we put on ourselves. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. If genius really is made, not born, what genius is waiting inside you?